The Delhi Assembly elections are due very soon. Over the last decade, Lok Sabha and Assembly elections in Delhi have been displaying a very unusual pattern, a pattern not witnessed anywhere else in the country. So let's start with the Lok Sabha elections in 2014. Just look at these figures. The BJP was the clear winner, winning all 7 seats and got nearly half the votes. What is noticeable, that it won from 60 of the 70 assembly segments that fall within these 7 Lok Sabha seats. That's 85% of all segments. Some of this win could be attributed to the fact that the opposition was divided between AAP and the Congress, but still a great performance for the BJP. About 9 months later came the state elections. And what happens? There's a complete turnaround and AAP smashes everyone, winning over 50% of the votes and over 95% of the assembly segments. Congress won just 10% of the votes and no seats. It was out of the game. BJP was struggling with a third of the vote and just 3 of the 70 seats. So if we put the 2014 Lok Sabha and the 2015 Assembly election side by side, we see the enormous change that took place. In 2015 Assembly, BJP's vote collapses and AAP's share shoots up. A great performance, really, for a new party. But one could have said, "Bhai, ye to hota hai." These things happen from time to time. But as they say, a swallow does not make a summer. So then come the 2019 Lok Sabha elections, when the BJP won 300 seats on its own in the country, and it improved its performance in Delhi by around 10% in terms of votes and conquered 65 assembly segments of the 70 segments, almost the same as the 67 seats that AAP got in the State Assembly in 2015. More, AAP was pushed into 3rd position with 0 assembly segments. So one could have said AAP was a shooting star and its dominance of Delhi Assembly may now end. But if only one knew. Along came the 2020 Assembly election, and once again AAP showed that as far as the Assembly was concerned, it was still the boss and the Congress was down and out. The BJP improved its votes performance by about 6% and won 8 seats, but that was 15% below AAP's vote share, which barely moved between 2015 and 2020. Once again, putting the 2019 Lok Sabha and the 2020 State Assembly figures side by side, we see the stunning about turn of voting behavior in Delhi in a period of just 9 months. Mr. Modi and the BJP continued their relentless march in the 2024 Lok Sabha elections in Delhi, sweeping all 7 seats, even though the AAP and the Congress had allied this time. So, what do the stars foretell for the 2025 Assembly elections? Will AAP score a hat-trick in Delhi like the BJP in the Lok Sabha? Or will the BJP break AAP's dominance and end this sort of schizophrenic voting behavior between Lok Sabha and State Assembly elections? Or is there a logic to this differential vote? Is it that in the Lok Sabha elections, they're voting for Mr. Modi and his national party, the BJP, and the international and national profile that it brings, while in state elections, they opt for Mr. Kejriwal and the local AAP, because the state elections concern mainly with local bread and butter issues. Let us look at the last 2 state assembly elections. AAP's share in votes has stayed steady at just over 50%. In 2020, it was not just over 50% overall, but also in assembly segments covering each of the 7 Lok Sabha seats, among scheduled caste seats, among seats with relatively large Muslim population, Jat population and immigration population. So it was a comprehensive win across all segments. On the other hand, the BJP has increased vote share by about 6% between 2015 and 2020 Assembly elections. This gain has come almost entirely at the cost of the Congress, which has become a very small player in state assembly elections in Delhi, with AAP and the BJP accounting for well over 90% of the votes. The difference in votes between AAP and the BJP in 2020 was nearly 15%, and AAP won 46 of its 62 seats by a margin exceeding 10% and 22 seats by more than 20%. In Indian elections, it is rare for a 15% difference to be overcome at one go, in the absence of some factor such as a strong new alliance partner for the challenger or a very major scandal for the incumbent. But now AAP has been in power for over 10 years in Delhi, and there's bound to be some anti-incumbencies. There is some criticism that some of its originally innovative schemes to improve educations, its Mullah clinics, its delivery of rations at home, its free power and water for the poor, etc., are having delivery problems in various parts of Delhi. The court cases alleging corruption against Mr. Kejriwal and Mr. Sisodia may wipe some of the sheen off AAP's anti-corruption image among a segment of voters. On the other hand, some voters may have felt that these cases were politically motivated, and that may evoke sympathy for AAP among those voters. Similarly, the regular tussle with the Lieutenant Governor has a positive as well as the negative impact on different segments of voters. Then, of course, there are the defections and the redefections among members of all three parties. All three parties have also made promises of cash and other benefits. There is a lot of comparative populism in these elections. So the voters will have to consider all these factors and decide who do they believe and who they don't, who they support and who they don't, and the outcome of those beliefs will determine their votes. AAP is today the dominant political force in Delhi Assembly elections. Let us see what kind of swing will have to dislodge AAP. We've assumed a swing away from AAP, but where will this loss of AAP votes go? One assumption we have made is that all those voters who switch away from AAP go to the BJP. Another case is that 75% will go to the BJP and 25% to the Congress. And of course, there's always the underlying assumptions that BJP and Congress voters don't go to AAP. Let us see what happens in various scenarios or swing away from AAP to BJP. In this first scenario, the BJP will get an absolute majority when it gets a 6% swing from AAP. But when those AAP voters who switch go 75% to the BJP and 25% to the Congress, the BJP will have a much bigger challenge in order to replace AAP as the ruling party. In the second case, the magnitude of the swing required to oust AAP is an enormous 12%. While this is feasible, historically a swing of this magnitude has not occurred from one assembly election to the next in the last decade. Yet, as they say about elections, the only certainty is uncertainty.